Chapter 11. Who takes the lead? Sula furrowed her brows and asked, what should we do? Will they come back? Yi Yinzu replied, they will definitely come back because if they don't, it will be difficult for them to survive in the black hole. I believe they are very clear about this. However, it's hard to say whether they are friends or foes. After all, they may hesitate to contribute part of their own energy to the fixed divine array. But even if most of our energy is used to maintain the fixed divine array, it should be no problem to deal with this one divine realm with the concentrated power of the 6 major divine realms. Let's wait and see. I have a feeling that if we can get the help of this dual divine realm, it will bring us the best opportunity. Sula asked, what about the central hub? How is Longbow doing? He has been presiding over the fixed divine array and will soon be selecting a leader. Will he participate? Yi Yinzu nodded. Of course. In my mind, only he is qualified to be the true leader among the 6 major divine realms. Sula nodded in agreement and said, Longbow has contributed most of the fixed divine array. With him as the leader, I believe everyone will be happy to follow him. It's just that Hai Long and Lei Xiang are both unruly characters, so it won't be easy. Yi Yinzu replied, where there's a will, there's a way. I have convinced Tian Hen to support Longbow with me. Although Wei has a better relationship with Lei Xiang, Hai Long is independent, so, relatively speaking, Longbow has more opportunities. The golden halo turned into circles of light, swirling around a huge pillar of light, and finally drilling into the sky, creating ripples of light. In front of this huge golden pillar of light sat a man. He was handsome and looked about 30 years old. His eyes were closed, and a thick sacred aura kept emanating from his body, merging into the pillar in front of him. Above his head, a golden greatsword hung upside down, the blade radiating a halo of light that transformed into holy rays shining down on him, making his entire body shimmer with dazzling gold. If someone could overlook from above, they would see that all the energy of the fixed divine array was released from here as the starting point and spread outward. Yi Yinzu's Qin Emperor divine realm was the endpoint. A woman stood not far behind this young man, looking about the same age as him, with long hair flowing down her back and a slightly worried expression on her face. Just then, the young man slowly raised his hands, and a holy light suddenly shone from his body. The dazzling light instantly turned into a colorful glow, illuminating the pillar of light in front of him. If Tang San were here, he would notice that the energy of this 9-colored halo was very similar to the energy essence of the central realm in the divine world. In a flash of golden light, the golden sword descended from the sky and pierced into the young man's head, disappearing inside him. The young man took a deep breath and floated in midair, relaxing his legs and standing up naturally. He looked up at the pillar in front of him and nodded. With the support of the power of the divine king, there shouldn't be any problems with stabilizing the formation in the short term. Longbow, are you okay? The girl behind him had already run to his side, looking at him worriedly. The man known as Longbow smiled when he heard her voice, and reached out to embrace her. He said softly, Muzi, I'm fine. Although it was quite exhausting, we managed to stabilize the formation. We've been fighting against this black hole for so long, and we've gained some experience. When I was overseeing the formation, it seemed like there was some foreign consciousness coming. Muzi nodded, yes, another divine realm was swept in. Moreover, it seems that the energy intensity of this divine realm is quite strong. Qin Emperor has already talked to them, and they want to be brought in. We're still waiting for their reply. Longbow said, if everything goes smoothly, of course it's a good thing. I want to go see Yinju. Muzi was a little worried and said, you're working too hard. You should rest first. Longbow shook his head and laughed. I'm not as fragile as I used to be. I'm the divine king of light now. This level of consumption is nothing. As long as our divine realm exists, there won't be any problems. When the king of all gods perceived the universe and sensed that our divine realm would face great difficulties, he dissolved himself and turned into a protective energy to condense the divine realm. With me as the divine king, no matter what happens, I will protect our divine realm and prevent it from being destroyed. Is the war of the gods about to begin? Muzi nodded. The timing may be adjusted due to the arrival of these outsiders. Longbow furrowed his brow slightly and said, we can't delay any longer. We must act as soon as possible. Otherwise, we may miss the best opportunity. Muzi replied, everyone thinks the same way, but the strength of the outsider this time is very strong. Jin Dai's idea is that if we can bring the outsider in as our ally, there may be a greater chance. So I have to go see Yi Yinzu first and ask him for clarification. Longbow replied. Muzi said, then I'll go with you. I haven't seen Sula for a long time. In the Dulaway God realm, at the center of the realm sat the God realm committee. Tang San stood before them, while numerous first level gods sat in meditation around the center, and only the 6 members of the God realm committee stood. With his eyes closed, Tang San felt the fluctuations of everyone's divine power and said solemnly, we're ready to begin. As he spoke, he raised his right hand and slowly placed it on the God realm's central axis in front of him. Suddenly, the God realm hummed, and gentle divine power spread outwards. The powers of all the first level gods immediately emanated and rushed into the God realm's central axis. The multicolored light inside the God realm's central axis immediately became solid and captivating, like a huge multicolored crystal. Strangely, the aura of the first level gods around them weakened noticeably, and their divine power fluctuations began to rapidly diminish. Tang San's expression did not change. His eyes opened, and 2 golden rays shot out from his eyes, shining on the God realm's central axis. Suddenly, his substantial divine consciousness swept out from the God realm according to the previously agreed communication with Yi Yinzu and instantly shot towards the direction of the black hole. In that moment, the auras of all the first level gods disappeared, as if they were corpses, without any breath left. Only the multicolored light in the God realm's central axis remained thick. Chapter 12. 6 Great God Kings. Zhang Feng. That's what all the first level gods are doing. They pour all their divine power into the center of the divine realm. One is to stabilize the center of the divine realm and concentrate all their power on Tang San for unified mobilization when necessary. The other is to weaken the overall aura of the entire divine realm, so that the enemy won't detect them. As the saying goes, first the small people, then the gentlemen. They will soon face the fixed god array consisting of the 6 great divine realms. At this time, it is undoubtedly necessary to reserve some strength. In the distance, within the fixed god array, 6 figures are suspended in midair. They stand on 6 different points on a huge hexagram below their feet. The hexagram emits a golden light, and these 6 people stand on 1 point each. Apart from the Qin Emperor Yi Yinzu, the mad God Lei Xiang, and the Immortal Emperor Hai Long, whom Tang San had met before, there were also the light god King Wei, as well as 2 other men. One of them appeared to be slightly slim, covered in black armor, but on the surface of the armor, there were occasionally colorful halos flowing. He carried a large sword on his back, which was of the same color. The other one was dressed in black, with a pair of giant swords crossed on his back. But what was most eye-catching was the short sword hanging diagonally in front of his chest. The scabbard of the short sword was grey, just like a black hole. If you stare at it, even your gaze would be swallowed. Death God Array. Inside the fixed god array, the 6 great god kings gathered and looked towards the distance. The Immortal Emperor Hai Long looked at the light god King Wei and said in a deep voice, are you ready to lead the way? Wei glanced at him, nodded, and did not argue with him because of his tone. A golden light suddenly rose from behind Wei. It was the super divine weapon, the radiant holy sword. The sword radiated light, pierced through the void, and a brilliant golden light shot out directly. The whole fixed god array emitted a slight hum. At this moment, all 6 divine realms and even the divine power of the 6 great god kings surged. The hexagram below their feet started, and the whole fixed god array was instantly transformed from calmness to brilliance. Inside the array, a bright light shone outward from the holy sword of light, its radiant glow obscured by the many rays of light around it. It transformed into a bridge, leading straight ahead into the distance. The 6 divine kings had varying expressions, but all remained calm. It was unclear what they were thinking about each other. A strong light flickered, and Tang San's face revealed a hint of divine radiance. His hands clasped together in front of his chest, and the light in his eyes changed with each moment, causing the air to distort slightly. They're here. The 6 members of the divine council pressed their hands together simultaneously. The 9-colored light at the center of the divine realm suddenly contracted, followed by a spiraling beam of light that rushed towards the direction of the induction. In an instant, golden and 9-colored light linked together, and the entire Dulaway divine realm seemed to be pulled like a giant chain, finally starting to move after being trapped in the black hole. At this moment, within the array, all 6 divine kings changed color at the same time. What's going on? Thunderbolt God, Lei Xiang, asked in a deep voice. Yi Yinju said in a low voice, it's not just them being pulled over, we're being dragged to. The strength and quality of this Dulaway divine realm are much stronger than we expected. Brother Changong, what do we do? He involuntarily looked towards Chang Wei. Chang Wei glanced at everyone and said without hesitation, continue to guide them. It's a win-win situation. With these simple 8 words spoken, even Emperor Hai Long, who had been somewhat at odds with him, unconsciously nodded. This was not the time to hesitate. In order to guide this dual divine realm, the entire array had already paid a considerable amount of energy. If they were to rashly terminate it, the array would suffer significant losses and could potentially affect future operations. The 6 divine kings remained silent and continued to guide them. They felt that something was off because the entire array was being dragged along. Although more of the dual divine realm was pulled over, the fixed god array was surprisingly also pulled to some extent within this black hole. This means that the dual divine realm itself is extremely powerful, much more powerful than any of the 6 divine realms that forms the fixed god array. Undoubtedly, the dual divine realm has been formed for a longer time, possesses more gods, and has a more massive internal energy. It can maintain this state even after being subjected to the dual impact of the chaotic flow of time and the black hole. It is easy to imagine how powerful it was at the beginning. What they don't know is that if it weren't for the rebellion of the god of destruction and the sudden attack of the golden dragon king who was sealed in the dual divine realm at a critical moment, the chaotic flow of time might not have been able to take away the dual divine realm. Everything happened by chance. The distance between the dual divine realm and the fixed god array is getting closer and closer. Along with this proximity, the surface light of the dual divine realm is also becoming stronger. Inside the fixed god array, Longbow Wei's eyes flickered, and he said in a deep voice, I faintly feel the breath of the king of gods. This dual divine realm is not simple. Be careful. They may not let us decompose the power of the divine realms as we wish. Inside the black hole, it is still dead silent, without any sound or even a glimmer of light. Everything is immersed in silence. Only the invisible energy that pulls each other is bringing the struggling dual divine realm and the fixed god array closer to each other. During this dragging process, because the black hole can swallow even light, they cannot see each other and can only sense each other's changes through their divine power. The distance between the two sides is getting closer and closer, and finally, inside the fixed god array, the huge pillar that was previously guarded by Longbow Wei emitted a bright light, and the entire fixed god array shook violently. On the side of the fixed god array close to the enemy's divine realm, a huge 9-color spherical body came into contact. The two sides touched and collided, and also fell into a brief pause. Longbow Wei's eyes flickered, and he said in a deep voice, as expected, what a solid divine realm. Guide them in. Inside the fixed god array, the 3 major divine realms of Qin Emperor divine realm, only Immortal divine realm, and Death god divine realm all emitted a bright light at the same time, and an opening appeared on the side of the fixed god array. At the beginning, this opening was small, only at the position where the dual divine realm and the fixed god array contacted. As the dual divine realm gradually squeezed into this space, the opening slowly became larger. It was like the fixed god array had opened its mouth and swallowed the dual divine realm. At this point, the 6 divine kings can fully see that the entire dual divine realm is actually a huge 9-colored light sphere, which is larger than they imagined, almost more than twice the size of any divine realm inside the fixed god array. The 9-colored light is permeating, showing a very strong divine power. Chapter 13. Welcome to the fixed god array. Suddenly, a colorful light burst out from the dual divine realm. Just as the 6 god kings were preparing to respond, the colorful light quickly exploded and turned into a colorful halo that scattered within the fixed god array. Instantly, the entire fixed god array's energy rose, and after absorbing this divine power, it became noticeably more stable. The previous consumption caused by the induction was completely restored. A faint smile appeared on Longbow Wei's face. He knew that this was the other party's way of showing goodwill, indicating that they had no ill intentions. The timing of this divine power's gift was impeccable and was very beneficial for stabilizing the fixed god array. In this dead silent black hole, every bit of energy was precious. The fact that the other party could release it without regard for gains or losses was enough to prove their goodwill. Welcome to the fixed god array, Longbow Wei said loudly. Thank you for guiding us. Please wait a moment until we are completely integrated, and then Tang San will come to thank you. Tang San's voice came from the dual divine realm. Hearing his voice, the mad God Lei Xiang and the immortal Emperor Sea Dragon couldn't help but furrow their brows slightly. Previously, they had only faced Tang San's divine consciousness, but at this moment, they were hearing Tang San's real voice. This experience was completely different from facing his divine consciousness. In their ears, Tang San's voice was deep and solid, seemingly warm but with a vaguely indescribable sharpness. His strength was obviously not inferior to theirs, even when they fully released their own strength. The 6 god kings almost simultaneously left their respective 6-pointed stars, and the huge 6-pointed stars in the air disappeared silently. They floated in a row, looking towards the integration of the dual divine realm. For them, this was also a historic moment. They did not discuss anything with each other again. Now that the dual divine realm had started to integrate, talking would be useless. Only by watching the integration of this powerful divine realm could they draw a conclusion about what would happen. For the god kings, time had no meaning at all. They were just silently waiting. After an unknown period of time, finally, the last bit of the dual divine realm successfully merged into the entire fixed god array. The piano emperor Yi Yinju sat cross-legged in the void, and an ancient piano appeared on his knees. The piano had 7 strings and 13 frets. As soon as the piano appeared, Yi Yinzu's whole person changed. His eyes became soft, and he lightly plucked the strings, producing a beautiful sound like that of gold and jade colliding. Under the sound of the piano, the entire fixed god array hummed and completely opened again. The huge dual divine realm was enveloped within it. A figure shot out from the dual divine realm and flew towards the 6 great god kings. It was Tang San with blue long hair, holding a golden trident, and he arrived in the void. Seeing the golden trident in his hand, all the 6 god kings except Yi Yinju, who was still focused on playing music, showed a slight change in their eyes. Undoubtedly, it was a super divine weapon. In this divine formation, super divine weapons were also rare. Even among the 6 great god kings, there were only 4 truly super divine weapons. Yi Yinzu's 9 heavens ringed head chin that he was playing now could only be considered as a pseudo super divine weapon. Of course, he had more than one pseudo super divine weapon, so his overall strength was not weaker than other god kings. At the level of godhood, apart from the strength of divine position and divine consciousness, divine weapons were also a significant factor. The strength of divine weapons largely determined the strength of godhood itself. A powerful godhood must have powerful divine weapons, and the level of divine weapons also varied. Divine weapons were divided into 4 levels: super divine weapons, pseudo super divine weapons, and quasi divine weapons. In the dual divine realm, it was already quite good for a 3rd level godhood to possess a quasi divine weapon. Divine weapons themselves needed to be constantly nourished and evolved by godhood. If a 3rd level godhood could be promoted to a 2nd level godhood, then it was very likely that his quasi divine weapon could evolve into a divine weapon. However, that was as far as it could go. The limit that could be achieved through evolution was only divine weapons. Pseudo super divine weapons and super divine weapons were mostly determined when the owner ascended to godhood, and it was almost impossible to evolve to that level. In any god realm, a super divine weapon was a strategic existence. Just like the sea god divine position that Tang San inherited in the past, why was he able to become a god king with the sea god divine position? A big reason was because the weapon of the sea god trident, was a true super divine weapon. Therefore, among the 1st level godhoods, the sea god had always been an outstanding existence, capable of standing alongside the 5 great god kings. Of course, later Tang San also received the favor of the Asura god, who passed on his position as a god to Tang San, allowing him to have dual god positions and dual super divine artifacts, thus becoming the leader of the 5 great gods. The god of destruction was the most dissatisfied with this because, despite also being a god king, he didn't even have a single super divine artifact. So, he later rebelled against Tang San due to his own thoughts and their disagreement, which had a lot to do with his lack of super divine artifacts. Therefore, when the 6 great god kings present saw Tang San's trident of the sea god, they immediately raised his position in their eyes, at least as an existence that must be taken seriously and considered on the same level as themselves. Hello, everyone. Let me introduce myself formally. I'm Tang San, the god of the sea. Tang San nodded slightly to the 6 god kings in front of him, his long hair fluttering, his deep and profound eyes resembling the vast sea, and a faint smile on his face. Longbow Wei nodded at Tang San and said warmly, "Hello, welcome to the fixed god array." This was the first time Tang San had met him, and this figure who was full of bright aura was easy to like. Moreover, for some reason, when Tang San appeared, the other god kings present felt that he was somewhat similar to Longbow Wei, both in temperament and appearance. Emperor Hai Long floated forward and came to Longbow Wei's side, saying in a deep voice, "God of the sea, your divine realm has now entered the fixed god array and is protected by it. Therefore, it is time for you to fulfill your promise. We will activate the fixed god array shortly and formally accept you as the 7th core of the fixed god array." He wasted no time in bringing up the original condition. Tang San nodded slightly and said, "Your Majesty, please calm down. Here's the thing, before we join the fixed god array, can we first understand the fixed god array? After all, merging with the fixed god array is a big deal. We are already already in the fixed God array and have benefited from it, but we have also previously released some divine power to compensate for the consumption of the fixed God array. For us newcomers, we don't fully understand what will happen when we merge with the fixed God array. Can we first have a clear understanding, especially about the opportunities we will have to get out of the current predicament after merging into the fixed God array? Chapter 14, Possible Way Out. Tang San's words were very calm, without any sense of confrontation, but at the same time, there was no immediate compromise either. Hai Long raised his eyebrows. Is the sea god going to renege on his word? Tang San said, of course not. Since we're here, we're ready for sincere cooperation. After all, unity benefits both sides. We need to concentrate our strength to have a chance of getting out of here. In this situation, I have no reason to regret anything. However, as a controller of the God realm, I also have to be responsible for the realm I am in, and I have to ask questions. Hai Long wanted to say something more, but was interrupted by Wei. This is also the right thing to do. So, if you want to know anything, see God, just ask. We'll do our best to answer you. Hearing his words, Tang San relaxed slightly. He had already prepared for the worst before coming here. If the 6 major God realms in the fixed God array forced them to submit, they might have to show their strength as much as possible, even if they had to stay in a corner of the formation. After all, everyone would have concerns, and with the black hole outside, it was impossible to fight to the death, which would not benefit anyone. But now, especially after seeing Wei, who was full of bright energy and had a very upright gaze, he understood that there was at least room for discussion, which was much better than the worst case scenario. At least, these 6 major God realms were reasonable, because Tang San noticed that when Wei spoke, at least Yi Yinju nodded slightly, indicating his agreement with him. Obviously, Yi Yinju should be standing with Wei. As for the other people, the one covered in black armor and the one in black clothes with a seemingly dull look did not show any expression. Only the Emperor of Heaven, Hai Long, was a bit aggressive, while the mad god, Lei Xiang, looked thoughtful. They were all different, which was also the myriad states of beings. Undoubtedly, these 6 God Kings were not particularly united, which led to this situation. In fact, this was exactly what Tang San wanted to see most. A highly united fixed God array was the most difficult to deal with. If there were some barriers between them, it would be easier for him to cope with. After a moment of contemplation, Tang San said, first of all, I want to know, what is the way out? We are already inside the fixed God array, and we can be considered as part of the formation. Can't you tell us? Wei said frankly, yes. In fact, we have been preparing for this for a long time. The black hole is a very terrible celestial body. Everything inside it will be swallowed up. Although we can survive here with our own energy level high enough in the universe, being swallowed up is still a matter of time. In the universe, it is almost impossible to escape from a black hole in principle. Later, we traced back to the process of the universe's formation and examined the secrets of the universe. We found that the universe came from a collision in a big bang. That is, the end of destruction is the beginning of creation. Later, we studied. Longbow Wei nodded and pointed to the 6 great God realms around them, saying in a deep voice, the sea god should be able to see that we have 6 God realms here now. So where does the explosion come from? We cannot detonate a black hole, and the only thing we can detonate is ourselves. Therefore, according to our idea, if we can collide all the God realms together, at that moment, the cause of all the God realms will seek a trace of vitality in the center of the explosion, and then take advantage of the destructive power of the big explosion to shuttle through space and escape the black hole. Only in this way is the only chance. Hearing him say this, Tang San couldn't help but take a deep breath, because he knew very well that this was a way of no success without sacrifice. If there is not enough creative power generated during the collision, and the 6 great God realms cannot be completely merged, then it will be true destruction. In an instant, everything will be completely annihilated and disappear in this black hole. How much confidence do you have? Tang San asked in a deep voice. Longbow Wei said, about 30%, but if you join us, maybe it can be increased to 40%. However, we can't wait any longer. If we wait any longer, even this slight chance will disappear completely. Therefore, we must take action. Even if you don't come, we will start soon. 30 to 40% chance? Tang San was a little surprised when he looked at Longbow Wei, not because the probability was too low, but because it was too high. You know, this is a black hole. Being able to have a 30 to 40% chance of escaping from the black hole is already like a miracle. Seeing Tang San's eyes showing some disbelief, Immortal Emperor Hai Long said, let me introduce you. This is Heavenly Emperor Tian Hen. He is the one who knows the most about black holes among all of us because he originally comes from a high-level galaxy and has the deepest research on celestial bodies. All the calculations are also done by him. As he spoke, he pointed to the man in the black armor. Heavenly Emperor Tian Hen nodded to Tang San as a courtesy. Tang San hurriedly returned the gesture. Hai Long pointed to another person and said, this is Mandoon, the god of death, but we all call him a day, which he prefers. He has a deep understanding of destruction and death. Let me explain in more detail. Before the collision, we will prepare fully. The collision will involve 6 divine realms, and the surface of these realms will completely collapse. However, all of the divine realm cores will absorb most of the energy, and all of their respective divine sparks will be safeguarded within the divine realm cores. When the collision happens, all of the explosions and destruction will be completed by the collision of the 6 divine realms. This level of explosive force will almost certainly produce a point of creation, which is also known as the departure of one. At this point, it is not that we depend on it for survival, but we will use that tiny bit of creative energy to melt all the divine realm cores into one, creating a new divine realm that is not large in size but has a high level and is infinitely close to the level of the god star. We will forcibly break away from the black hole with the departure of one. This is the entire plan. After hearing him out, Tang San completely understood their plan. He had to admit that in a certain sense, it was feasible and even likely the only way to succeed. Chapter 15, a compromise. So, before the final collision, all the gods in your respective divine realms need to hide in the central divine realm and receive its protection, right? Tang San asked. Exactly. This is to ensure everyone's safety as much as possible. Yi Yinju replied. Tang San's face showed a bit of smile. Then, I'm afraid we can't follow the original plan of releasing the divine power of the divine realm to the fixed god array. As soon as he said this, the 6 great god kings' faces changed slightly. Sea Dragon shouted, are you reneging? Do you know that if we can let you in, we can also kick you out? Tang San lifted the trident of the sea god in his hand. Your Majesty, hear me out. It's not that we don't want to release the divine power. It's just that according to your plan, we can't release too much divine power to supplement the fixed god array. Just like you said before the collision, all the gods have to hide in the central divine realm. So, in the current situation of your respective divine realms, can the central divine realm accommodate all the gods? Sea Dragon nodded. Of course it can, Tang San said. However, for our dual divine realm, if we lower the divine realm's strength to the same level as yours, our central divine realm won't be able to accommodate all the gods. This is the biggest problem. Think about it. You can't give up any of your gods, and it's the same for our dual divine realm. Tang San's last sentence was firm and resolute. Longbow Wei asked, so, does that mean your divine realm has far more gods and strength than ours? Tang San looked at Longbow Wei and said, if we look at the current situation, I wouldn't say far more, but at least the central divine realm can accommodate more gods than the central divine realm of the divine realms of the same strength as yours. Finally, the mad God Lei Xiang spoke, saying lightly, what if we let your gods scatter to our various divine realms? We can share the burden. Tang San immediately refused without hesitation. That's not possible. First of all, I can't completely trust all of you to not abandon our gods at critical moments. At the same time, can you really trust all of our gods? It's difficult. We're all on the same level, and we don't have to be around the bush. If it were you, would you be willing to do that? Lei Xiang fell silent. Indeed, if it were them, they would not be able to do it either. In the previous disasters, before coming here, all 6 of their major god realms had suffered damage. They watched as gods, friends, and even relatives around them were dissolved in the chaotic time and space flows. Naturally, they could understand Tang San's persistence. Emperor Hai Feng sneered and said, it seems that you are not suitable for being in our divine formation. Tang San waved his hand and said, I think it's better if we think carefully about how to do it better and perfect the plan. Since our god realm is the largest, we are naturally willing to contribute the most in the entire plan. However, we must ensure the safety of our gods. The bright god king, Wei, looked at the Sky Emperor, Tian Hen, and said, Sky Emperor, can we recalculate? Tian Hen said, theoretically, we can. In terms of overall divine power, having one more god realm will increase our chances of success. However, if the strength of one god realm is different from the others at the moment of collision, several situations will arise. First, the The dominance must be above this strongest God realm. Second, even if we ultimately succeed, when a new God realm is created, there will naturally be a new God realm core that is much more powerful than any of our existing God realm cores. The dominance of this God realm core cannot be dispersed, but will be concentrated in the hands of the strongest God realm. In a sense, that God King will have the power of life and death over all God realms. Hearing this, the faces of the God Kings all became ugly. At their level, no one wants to be at the mercy of others. Moreover, the newcomer in front of them has just arrived. Tang San also frowned because if it were him, he would find it difficult to accept such a situation. For the Diluo God realm, this will be the biggest problem they face. Even as individuals, the Diluo God realm is the strongest, but they have no chance of winning against 6 God realms at the same time. The God Kings were all silent for a moment, each of them calculating at high speed in their minds. This is a matter of great importance, life or death. For the Diluo God realm, the best news is that the current fixed God array is reliable, and there is indeed a way to break free. However, how to integrate into this group without affecting their own interests is the biggest challenge Tang San faces now. Finally, the bright goddess Wei spoke up, and the bright God King pondered, God of the sea, this situation is indeed a bit awkward for all of us. I believe you can also understand our difficulties. It would be just as difficult for you to decide if you were in our position. Since that's the case, let's take a step forward together. At this point, he turned to the other 5 God Kings and said, before the arrival of the Diluo God realm, we were prepared to have a fair competition to establish who will be the overall commander in the upcoming departure operation. This person needs to be fair and impartial, and also needs to have the strongest power. We will not stop this competition because of the arrival of the God of the sea. So let's invite the God of the sea to join us. Let's compete together. Then we can talk about other things. But we also have a request. We hope that the Diluo God realm can release some divine power in stages during this period and supplement it into the fixed God array to help us stabilize it. Tang San said calmly, what happens after this competition? How will it be handled? Releasing divine power will weaken the Diluo God realm. He must ask clearly. The bright God King said in a deep voice, if Brother Tang can win the final victory, then we may consider using the Diluo God realm as the main force for the departure operation. However, we must ask the God of the sea to guarantee that after the departure, a new central realm will be opened up and everyone will jointly manage the new realm. No, I disagree. The mad God Lei Xiang suddenly said, and a strong momentum burst out from him. Longbow, this is impossible. How can we give the power of life and death to a newcomer? No matter how he looks on the surface, this is related to the safety of our God realms. Absolutely not. The Emperor Lei Xiang echoed, I also disagree. The risk is too great. And why does he have the right to be the leader? Yinzu's eyebrows furrowed. Is there any compromise? The death God today has been silent all along, just listening quietly. His eyes are still in a semi-dazed state, as if he is in a trance. The Emperor Tian Hen said in a deep voice, competition is necessary, but the power of the final winner needs further discussion. Chapter 16, 1 against 6. In his heart, Chang Wei couldn't help but sigh. The 6 major divine realms were not unified, which was the biggest problem they faced with the current fixed God array. Even before the arrival of the Diluo divine realm, the position of the leader was already difficult to balance. Otherwise, action should have been taken earlier. However, for the various divine realms, this was indeed too important. Who would be willing to give the power of life and death to others? That was not only irresponsible to oneself but also to the divine realm one belonged to. The situation quickly entered a stalemate. Tang San suddenly said, what are the conditions of the competition you all came up with earlier to be carried out? Chang Wei said, everyone takes on a cyclic challenge. Winning a match earns 3 points, and a draw earns 1 point. After the single cycle challenge is over, a comprehensive evaluation is conducted. The one with the highest score will be the overall commander for the final action. If there is a tie, the tied parties will have another match to determine the ultimate winner. Tang San nodded and said, I understand. I also understand your concerns. When it comes to the future of one's own divine realm, no one wants to make concessions. Even oaths cannot be absolutely trusted. I think you are all in this kind of situation now. Even the competition method mentioned earlier was probably the only way because everyone couldn't wait any longer, right? Chang Wei nodded. That was indeed the case. If it weren't for the Heavenly Emperor's calculations, the fixed God array could no longer wait, and everyone would not have been willing to participate in the earlier competition. Tang San suddenly laughed. Actually, I have a way. Would you all like to hear it? Emperor Hai Long was puzzled and asked, you have a way? Tang San said, yes, but as you all should know, there is never absolute fairness in this world. Therefore, my method is only relatively fair. Please tell us, said Mad God Lei Xiang. Tang San said in a deep voice, I believe that as the leader, one's own strength should be above everyone else's, and should be as much as possible. Secondly, as the leader, before the final action, some things that are related to strength should be taken out and controlled by others. In addition to the oath as a constraint, once the final divine realm is formed, he cannot make any decisions at will. What do you mean? Chang Wei asked. Tang San lifted the sea god trident in his hand. For example, super divine artifacts. For us, super divine artifacts are more precious than life. If we can take out our own super divine artifacts and let other people control them before the leader conducts the final overall command, and if other divine kings have enough super divine artifacts, they may not be unable to jointly counterattack the center of the divine realm. Moreover, at that time, the center of the divine realm had just been completed, and it still had the breadth of the several major divine realms. It's not something that one person can control immediately, thus forming a constraint. At that time, power will be divided, and the joint governance of the divine realm will be determined. The overall commander will regain the collateral and open the entire divine realm's permissions for everyone to jointly govern. Relatively speaking, this. After listening to Tang San's words, the 6 great god kings all showed thoughtful expressions. The Sky Emperor was the first to speak. Feasible. This should be the most fair way. The only problem is how to confirm that one person's strength is far superior to others. At least after handing over the super divine weapon, they still have the ability to protect themselves. His last sentence touched on the crucial point. For the god kings, handing over the super divine weapon would greatly reduce their cultivation. At that time, it would be very dangerous if others were not favorable to them. The Longbow King calmly said, this certainly concerns the safety of our own divine world, but in many cases, we still need to trust each other. We are experiencing such great difficulties together. If we form a complete divine world in the future, we have a very good chance of reaching the level of the god star. If I am the final winner, I am willing to hand over the bright holy sword. Please supervise me. As soon as these words were spoken, the other god kings couldn't help but look at him in surprise. Since the establishment of the divine formation, the bright god king Longbow Wei has been the one who has contributed the most. Even the Immortal Emperor, who was only concerned with himself, and the unruly mad god had some admiration for him. But at this moment, everyone knew the importance of leadership, and the Immortal Emperor didn't hesitate to say, however, you may not be able to defeat me. How can you talk about being far superior? So it is still very difficult to become the leader. Heavenly Emperor said. Therefore, the sea god was right earlier. We must have someone whose strength surpasses the others by a significant amount, at least enough to defend themselves after surrendering the super divine tool. Since the sea god has proposed such a plan, I believe he's volunteering himself. The 6 great divine kings involuntarily focused their gazes on Tang San. Tang San swept his gaze over them and took a deep breath. We are the newcomers and undoubtedly the least trusted by you all because you know the least about us. But I do have confidence in myself and the Diluo divine realm, and I believe I have a sense of fairness. Therefore, I am willing to issue a challenge to you all. You can choose the venue, and we will choose the rules. 6 of us from the Diluo divine realm will compete against 6 of you. If we can defeat you all, please let me take the final dominance. I will execute it. At that time, we will hand over at least 3 super divine tools, and you can supervise my command. Although the Heavenly Emperor had already guessed that Tang San, who had proposed the previous method, would definitely volunteer himself, when Tang San spoke, it still shocked all the divine kings present. You are too arrogant. I never thought someone would be more arrogant than me, the god of arrogance. Lei Xiang took a step forward in the void, and behind him, a wild wave of divine power appeared. Vaguely, one could see a golden armor appearing and disappearing in the void, emitting the aura of super divine tools. Immortal Emperor Lei Xiang smiled. The Diluo divine realm is powerful, but to take on 6 by oneself is possible. I'm rooting for you. Yi Yinju also frowned. Regardless of who among them heard Tang San's words, their initial feeling was that it was arrogant. Tang San's proposal was already evident. He wanted to challenge the 6 great divine realms with the entire Diluo divine realm and compete in a 6-on-6 match. You must know know that they are facing 6 divine realms. Faced with the pressured gazes of the 6 divine kings, Tang Sect appeared calm. Chapter 17, The Battle of the Gods. As a newcomer, I can only prove my strength in this way, to prove the strength of the dual divine realm. The reason why I want to be the leader is to ensure the safety of our divine realm. That's all. Whether it's arrogance or possibility, we need to speak with facts, don't we? If we lose, then we give up the leadership and obey the commands. Yi Yinzhu looked at Chang Wei. Chang Wei was one of the calmest among the 6 god kings. Even Death God Day had a hint of surprise in his eyes when he looked at Tang San. Chang Wei said, 3 super divine artifacts? I think we can try. With his reminder, everyone suddenly realized that Tang San had mentioned 3 super divine artifacts before, which meant that there were at least 3 super divine artifacts in the dual divine realm. Any super divine artifact was like a godsend for the divine realm. If a divine realm could possess 3 super divine artifacts, it was already enough to prove its own strength. This undoubtedly was Tang San's background. Emperor Tian Hen suddenly spoke up. I agree to this contest. If the sea god and the dual divine realm really have such strength, it is most appropriate for them to be the leader. Our chances might even increase to 50%. A strong leader will make the final outcome different. Death God Day nodded. Okay. He kept it short and to the point. Chang Wei smiled. Tian Hen is right. I also agree. In the current situation where we don't have a better solution, perhaps this is the best way. The Immortal Emperor and the Mad God glanced at each other, both frowning slightly. The Immortal Emperor Sea Dragon looked at Tang San with a bright light in his eyes, nodded, and said, very well, then I want to see how powerful your dual divine realm can be, with such confidence to face us at the same time. Tang San did not speak. At this time, saying more was useless. It was more useful to prove with facts. Emperor Tian Hen said, since that's the case, we will choose the venue. We will try to be as fair as possible. When we first came here to build a fixed god array, there was a powerful divine realm here, and even it left the construction method of the fixed god array. After our recalculation, it was finally formed. Unfortunately, that divine realm collapsed before the formation of the fixed god array, and we couldn't save it. With the formation of the fixed god array, the ruins of that divine realm were preserved, turning into a planet with complex and vast terrain. It doesn't belong to either of us. I think this place is the most suitable and fair battlefield. Tang San didn't hesitate and said, okay, we'll do as the Heavenly Emperor said. Longbow Wei asked, what about the way of the competition? Tang San smiled slightly, obviously having already thought about it. 5 versus 5 with one substitute. When facing a life and death crisis, one can choose to leave the battlefield or surrender and quit. If all participants from both sides quit, it counts as a loss. The substitute can switch with any participant in the field at any time. At least on the surface, this way of competition sounded quite fair. The divine array had exactly 6 great divine kings, not one more, not one less. Longbow Wei looked at the others, and the other 5 divine kings did not express any objections. The bright divine king nodded. Okay, we'll do as the sea god said. You just arrived, so rest for a while. Later, we will share the time inside the divine array with you. After 3 days inside, we will meet at the ancient god ruins in the god's gorge. Tang San nodded, raised the golden trident in his hand, and saluted the divine kings. Humphrey. Emperor Hai Long snorted coldly, disappeared without a trace, and returned to his own blue divine realm. The others also left one by one, and the heavenly Emperor Tian Hen was the last to choose to leave. Before leaving, he looked deeply at Tang San and said in a deep voice, see God, you will not only face 6 divine kings but also 6 divine realms. I hope you can win the final. Victory. We really can't wait any longer. After saying this, a silver light flashed, and he also disappeared. After the 6 great divine kings left, Tang San secretly breathed a sigh of relief. A bitter smile also appeared on his face. If there were a choice, would he be willing to face the 6 great divine kings at the same time? Did he have any confidence? Not at all. As the heavenly emperor just said, he will not only face the 6 god kings, but also the 6 central energies of the 6 god realms. Any god king who controls a god realm has the ability to mobilize the central energy of that realm. Therefore, in this great war, he will also face the 6 central energies behind the 6 god kings. If it was one-on-one, Tang San would have confidence. From his observations of these 6 god kings, he firmly believes that with the support of the central energy of the dual god realm, he can defeat any one of them. However, things are different in a group battle, because the power of the dual god realm needs to be shared with other people on their side, so he can only use a part of it. In this situation, the strength of any god king on the other side will not be inferior to his own, and how many people on his side can have the same level of strength as him? The god of life and the god of destruction are not there. The only true god kings are him, Dong, and Lai Yan. The cultivation levels of Rong Nian, Yuhao, and Zhou Wei Qing are still inferior, but Tang San has no choice. Before integrating into the fixed god array, he had already thought it through. It is very difficult for them to avoid being directly weakened as newcomers, and one god realm cannot compete with 6 god realms. Therefore, the most basic idea behind this challenge is to buy time and at least let the dual god realm adapt to the situation inside the fixed god array. Secondly, it is to pursue the possibility of a narrow victory. No one can predict the outcome of a battle, even if the strength of both sides is vastly different. The weaker side still has a chance to win because the battlefield is often changing. Therefore, no one can say for sure that they will win. If the dual god realm really wins and gains the leadership of the operation as the commander-in-chief, Tang San has absolute confidence in ensuring the safety of the dual god realm, at least in the safest position during the entire operation. Everyone believes in themselves in such matters, and Tang San is no exception. Therefore, in this battle of the gods, he will definitely go all out and have no regrets. Even if he loses this battle of the gods, Tang San believes that after fully demonstrating their strength, the 6 major god realms will have a better understanding of the dual god realm. This will be helpful for future negotiations and actions to ensure the status of the dual god realm. Chapter 18, Mo. When Tang San proposed this challenge, he had already thought it through clearly. To describe his purpose in 8 words was enough. To showcase himself and try his best to win. Only when the other party agreed did he truly breathe a sigh of relief. Through communication, Tang San could tell that the 6 great god kings were all very rational, regardless of their personalities. At least, they were not particularly twisted and could still reason logically. This made Tang San much more at ease about the situation in the dual divine realm entering the fixed god array. There was no need to worry about safety for the time being. After taking a deep look at the distant 6 great divine realms, Tang San took a step in the void and returned to his own divine realm. The situation in the dual divine realm had stabilized, and he didn't need to ask anyone else. Through his relationship with the divine realm's central hub, Tang San could feel that the energy in the divine realm was no longer dissipating. The divine realm committee, the other 5 had been waiting here for Tang San's return. With a flash of golden light, Tang San stepped out from the divine realm's central hub and floated down to the ground. How did it go? Rong Nian asked Tang San. The others also looked at him with concern. Tang San smiled and said, they agreed. That's great, but the pressure on us is really high. Rong Nian smiled. They had discussed the plan together, so they naturally knew what was going on. Tang San said, we're all strangers to each other, so this challenge is also a familiarization process. In terms of overall strength, we are definitely not as good as them, since they have the support of 6 divine realms behind them, but we also have our own advantages. The most important thing is that we are a united whole, while they are not as united. At the same time, we know each other, and they may not know each other as well as we do. As for their abilities, Immortal Emperor Hai Long definitely has a transcendent divine weapon, and Mad God Lei Xiang also clearly had the title of a transcendent divine weapon when he released his aura. Bright God King's Longbow is also likely a transcendent divine weapon. This person is probably the most difficult to deal with among the 6 great god kings, because his aura is very stable. From Qin Emperor Yi Yinzu's eyes, I can tell that his strength is definitely not weaker than Immortal Emperor and Mad God, so he should also have a transcendent divine weapon. As for the other 3, the short sword on Death God Dai's chest looks like a transcendent divine weapon, but the aura is dim and unclear. The full body armor of Heavenly Emperor Tian Hen doesn't seem to be at the level of a transcendent divine weapon, but it's hard to say with armor-like objects. It feels like it's also approaching the level of a transcendent divine weapon. Qin Emperor Yi Yinzu didn't release any transcendent divine weapon aura, so he might not have one, but he can serve as the central control of the fixed god array, so his strength must not be weak. Therefore, we need to be prepared to face 6 transcendent divine weapons. Although previously only observing, Tang San was able to see many things, and now he explained in detail. As they listened, the more they heard, the more frightened they became. One should know that their opponents had the support of the central hub of the divine realm. This undoubtedly amplified their strength. Boss, I really don't see any chance for us. Zhou Wei Qing, the great god, said with a bitter smile. Yuhao didn't even say a word. Among the 6 people present, he was the weakest in strength, and he didn't even have a transcendent divine weapon. Tang Sect said, of course I know. However, in this battle, we must fight and we must try our best to win. Regarding transcendent divine weapons, we currently have 3, the trident of the sea god, the Asura sword, and your Hangdi rings. All of Nian Bing's 7 kitchen knives are pseudo-transcendent divine weapons, and when combined, they are even stronger than a single transcendent divine weapon. Although Lai Yan and Jidong don't have transcendent divine weapons, they are true god kings with god positions. When they work together, they are not inferior to transcendent divine weapons. Therefore, we do have the strength to compete. We still have 3 days to carefully plan our tactics, which is the most important thing. Rong Nian Bing smiled and said, I heard about it a long time ago. When you were still in the Dual continent, you were a tactical master. Yuhao is also good as the main controller. You arrange it, and we'll all listen to your instructions. You can be the main controller and control the whole situation. Yuhao can be your substitute. A hint of a smile appeared at the corner of Tang Sang's mouth. For us, the one who understands them the most is actually just me alone. Since that's the case, we must first disrupt their deployment, especially with targeted deployment. So, we have to catch them off guard. Yuhao, you will be the main force and the controller soul master. I will be your substitute. As soon as these words came out, everyone showed a shocked expression. Tang Sang's smile suddenly became even more intense. See, even you guys are surprised. What about our opponents? The layout must start from the beginning. In the divine realm of the Son of Light, Light God King Chang Wei stood in front of a huge pillar of light, and Qin Emperor Yi Yinju stood beside him. This Tang San is not simple. His performance today has actually put him in an unbeatable position. Chang Wei sighed lightly. Yi Yinju smiled slightly and said, it can be seen that you really appreciate him, brother Chang Wei smiled and said, have you forgotten the kind of power I control? Whether a person's heart is righteous or not can be easily detected from their aura. Tang San did not conceal any of his divine consciousness in front of us. He released it all for us to observe. If we could not tell that he has a pure heart, who would give him this opportunity? So, I believe he should be a powerful ally. Yi Yinju laughed and said, it's been a long time since I've looked forward to something like this. It's also been a long time since I've gone all out. Big brother Changong, do you think the sea god has a chance to win? Chang Wei laughed and said, that's hard to say. Anything is possible, but his chances are not great. Yi Yinzu shrugged and said, I also think his chances are slim. 1 against 6 at the level of the gods is almost impossible, unless his divine realm is a divine star. Chang Wei said, this competition is not only a test of their strength, but also a test of ours. I hope that after this battle, everything will be clear. Tian has approached me several times. We can't delay any longer. After the final calculation, we will launch it. Good. Yi Yinzu nodded firmly. Chang Wei smiled and said, actually, there is something you don't know. My relationship with Lei Xiang is pretty good. Yi Yinzu looked at him in surprise. Chang Wei smiled and said, so, is my relationship with the day? Yi Yinzu asked in confusion, but why haven't you been able to take the lead? This. Chang Wei sighed lightly and said, many things are not that simple. Even if our relationship is good, when it comes to the safety of our own divine realms, everyone has their own ideas. We can trust each other, but what about our own divine realms? What about our loved ones and friends? Tang San's appearance is an opportunity. The main reason I am telling you about my relationship with Lei Xiang and the day now is to show that if Tang San thinks that our cooperation will be a problem, then he's wrong. Please come tomorrow, and we will discuss the tactics and give it our all. Yi Yinzu said, I understand. However, the issue of who will be the substitute is probably still a headache. Chang Wei said, don't worry about it. Tianan can be the substitute because he can provide support in the shortest time possible. He has the deepest understanding of the universe among us. Chapter 19, Dream Cloud and Skychin. Only I am the only one in the immortal realm. A huge palace floated in midair, supported by clouds and mist. Above the palace, blue and golden clouds were swirling and echoing. Inside the palace, there was a faint sound of enchanting celestial music, which gave people a sense of ethereal wonder. The Immortal Emperor Hai Long stepped on a rainbow-colored auspicious cloud and drifted towards the palace. He landed at the main entrance. Welcome, Immortal Emperor. All the heavenly soldiers and generals knelt down on one knee, welcoming his return. I've told you I hate all these formalities. Why do you never learn? Hai Long said irritably. The leader of the heavenly generals smiled obsequiously. It's because we're sincerely respectful to you. All right. You're very good at flattery. By the way, where are the imperial consorts now? Hai Long intentionally lowered his voice when he asked the last question. They should be in the royal flower garden. It is said that some fairy grass has bloomed recently, said the heavenly general in a low voice. That's good. I'll go first. If they ask, just tell them I'm going to seclude myself and prepare for the upcoming battle of the gods in a few days. Hai Long said with a sigh of relief. Yes, I understand. Just as Hai Long was about to leave, a pleasant voice suddenly rang out. Where are you going? A figure descended from the sky, followed by a red whip that flew like lightning. Hai Long was startled and quickly dodged aside to avoid the whip's sweep. He forced a smile and said, Dream Cloud, don't be mischievous. I just came back, and I'm about to seclude myself for cultivation. What's wrong? A figure landed quietly, wearing a pink long dress that accentuated her slender body. Golden light radiated from her beautiful eyes, but they were full of suspicion. I'm asking you, do you like me or Skychin? Dream Cloud shook the whip in her hand. The normally proud Immortal Emperor's expression now resembled that of the heavenly general. He quickly approached her and whispered, of course, I like you. You are my dearest Dream Cloud. Dream Cloud curled her lips. Do you say the same thing to her? Hai Long said firmly, of course not. By the way, I have some big news to tell you. That new god realm wants to challenge us. 1 against 6. They're challenging our 6 major god realms. Mengyun paused for a moment. Are they crazy? How is this possible? Hai Long shrugged. I also think they're crazy, but they want to go crazy, so we'll just go along with it. It's been a long time since we've exercised. My cudgel is already feeling lonely. Mengyun blushed. What are you talking about? Be careful with your words. Hai Long's mouth twitched. I'm talking about the golden cudgel. What are you thinking? Your thoughts are impure. Mengyun raised the long whip in her hand. Do you want to be beaten up? I'll hang you up and beat you. Hai Long looked helpless. Okay. I really need to go into seclusion and practice. Keep up the good work. You don't want your husband to lose, do you? Mengyun thought for a moment and said, okay, but tonight, it's your turn to keep me company. When will you come over? Her face turned red with a blush. Hai Long replied, a little later. Mengyun raised her eyebrows. What do you mean? Do you want to reject the favor of the heavenly empress? Are you dragging your feet? Hush, keep your voice down. Can you save me some face? Hai Long looked aggrieved. In front of his wives, he really had no status. Humph, you figure it out. Mengyun said and disappeared on a cloud. Watching her leave, Hai Long couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Having multiple wives is really troublesome, but it's too late to regret now. I regret being tempted by Ding Man to come to the Immortal Palace. He ran away, but I got caught up in a space-time rift. Otherwise, I would still be free and unrestrained in this world. How could I be trapped in the immortal realm and not even have the freedom to seek it? Life was once valuable, but freedom is even more precious. It would be so much better to be like Yuan Shi soon, omnipresent yet nowhere to be found. Originally, I could have done it too, but now I have to be trapped here. My lord, do you regret it? A slender jade hand silently rested on the shoulder of Hai Long, and when he saw those dark red nails, he suddenly shivered, realizing he was in trouble. A fragrant body had already come up from behind, breathing softly into his ear. My clairaudience has improved recently, so I have particularly good hearing. Just now, someone said they liked Dream Cloud better. Is that true? A smile spread across Hai Long's face as he turned to embrace the newcomer. Wife, I was wrong. He knew this wife's personality was the toughest and most unyielding among all his wives. She was even the former ruler of the underworld and the strongest among all his wives, not inferior to him at all. There was no point in explaining, and at this point, admitting his mistake was the wisest choice. Whenever he addressed her, he always called her by her original name, Tian Chin. Tian Chin snorted. You have so many wives. Who are you apologizing to? Hai Long looked at her affectionately. My dear Tian Chin, I was wrong. Tian Chin smiled faintly. So, how should I punish you? Hai Long shivered again. Wife, I happen to want to talk to you about something. Can you give me some ideas? Tian Chin said, are you trying to change the subject? All right, I'll give you a chance to see if you can divert my attention. Hai Long said, didn't we just receive a new god from the divine realm today? This god is even more powerful than we imagined. What's more ridiculous is that the god king, a guy named Sea God, actually proposed to challenge all 6 god kings of our divine realms at the same time, in order to compete for control of our future escape plan. Tian Hen sat up straight from Hai Long's embrace, frowning slightly. So arrogant. Hai Long said, yes. Although his personal strength is not weak, he should be at the same level as us, and he has a super divine artifact. But to use the power of one divine realm to fight against many of our divine realms, does he think he is the ruler of the divine stars? Tian Hen said, we must not be careless. Anyone who can become a god king is not to be underestimated. Since he proposed such a plan, he must have some confidence. No one would do something without even a 1% chance of success. If he doesn't have at least a 30% chance of winning, I believe he wouldn't do it. So, you must not be careless, even cautious to the point of being paranoid. Even a lion needs to use all its strength to catch a rabbit. Never underestimate your enemy. Chapter 20. Mysterious Moon. Hai Long chuckled. As someone who has been through countless battles, how could I be careless? It's a shame that when we were swept away, the entire fairy world lost contact with the Buddhist world, and many powerful beings from various realms disappeared into the river of time and space. Otherwise, our fairy world would be strong enough for me to do what he did. To be honest, I'm a bit jealous of that guy. This is something that I should have done. As he spoke, Hai Long's eyes shone with an inherent arrogance. His famous line, I alone am the only immortal, was not without reason. I'll help you plan it out. It's been a while since you've had a high-intensity battle, and since there's a big war waiting for you, I think you need to regain some of your fighting strength. Let's forget about what just happened. I won't punish you. I'll go get PM our sister, and then our sisters will team up with you for a practice fight to awaken your memory of battle. Tang King said firmly. Honey, are you serious? Hai Long looked at her dumbfounded. Tang King sneered. When have I ever lied to you? Go to the Dayan Terrace and wait for us. It's been a while since I've had a good fight too. Don't worry. I'll convince our sisters to go all out. So you better be prepared. Oh, and by the way, no using the golden cudgel. You can't hurt us, can you? After speaking, she waved her hand at Hai Long and disappeared into a grey halo. Hai Long remained stunned, muttering to himself. No using the golden cudgel. They're all ganging up on me. What does that mean? Emperor, it seems like they want to beat you up. Oh, no. It's like they want to gang up on you. I think that's what it means. The previous celestial soldier who had been hiding somewhere whispered. Hai Long's face immediately fell. This is going to be tough. The celestial soldier watched as Hai Long left, and then turned to his soldiers. See that? This is the tragedy that comes from marrying too many wives. The Emperor's personal experience serves as a warning to us, and deserves our respect. The kind god of death realm. The god of death, Ardai, sat silently on the mountaintop, gazing into the distant sea of clouds. In the world of black holes, there was no sun, and almost all of the radiance of the divine realms came from their own sources, or from the god of light's realm, where the radiance shone forth from the central core of the divine realm of Longbow Wei. The entire divine realm seemed somewhat lifeless, and there was a hint of loneliness in Adai's eyes. What's wrong? Are you thinking about those things again? A figure in white light flickers and lands next to Adai, gently wrapping his shoulder. Feeling the warm embrace, Adai's expression immediately became more vivid. He pulled her into his arms and sat her on his lap. I'm fine. The woman wore a white long dress, adorned with faint golden threads. Her beautiful face carried a holy light, like a bright moon, dispelling the gloom on the death god Adai. Don't be sad. It's been so long since it happened. No one would have expected such a thing at that time. Xuan Yue said softly. If the death god realm is the one with the least number of gods in the 6 major divine realms, then there are only 2 of them in the entire divine realm. Only 2. Adai sighed. I just can't understand why they fought for countless years and couldn't let it go. Why they couldn't coexist in peace. He said that as long as I'm here, the divine realm won't be attacked. But he still came in the end, and it was at the most critical moment in the divine realm. If not for that, maybe my mother could have led the gods to resist the impact of the space-time turbulence. The gods wouldn't have been wiped out in the space-time turbulence. What good does destroying the entire divine realm do for him? Xuan Yue opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but she didn't say it. Adai looked at her. You seem to have always known something, but you have never said it. I have never asked you either. Xuan Yue, is there anything we can't say between us? Xuan Yue sighed lightly. It's not that I don't want to say it, but I'm afraid that what I say will destroy your worldview. It will make you even more uncomfortable. Adai frowned slightly and gently kissed her cheek. He said, we are already like this. There are only you and me left in this so-called divine realm. What else can't be said? Xuan Yue pursed her lips. Well, some things should be told to you. I don't want you to have any worries when you step onto the battlefield. Any world has an opposite on the north side of living beings, and that is the underworld. Almost every place with a divine realm has an existence similar to the underworld. The underworld is the opposite, the dark world, the world of death. However, regardless of its background, the underworld is also a wise creature and has its own emotional fluctuations. Like your father, the lord of the underworld, Hades, is the same. The underworld and the divine realm have been at war for so many years, and there was even a time when they almost destroyed the divine realm. Your mother, the goddess, used her body to exchange for the survival space of the divine realm. Then you were born. You are the child of the goddess and the lord of the underworld. One thing is certain, when Hades learned that you were his biological son, his reaction at the time was completely genuine, and what he said was also true. He said that as long as you are in the divine realm for a day, there will be no more invasion. This statement was sincere, but Adai wanted to say something, but was stopped by Xuan Yue, who covered his mouth with her hand. Dear, let me finish. But do you know why he came back, leading a large army to invade the divine realm again? Actually, it was for you, for the goddess. Even when he didn't know you were his son, he still invaded for the same reason, because he really fell in love with your mother, the goddess. Adai was stunned. In his memory, his parents were always 2 extremes who couldn't get along. The reason he fell into the kind-hearted death god's divine realm and even became a silly thief was because of his mother's resentment towards his father. He went to seek revenge from the lord of the underworld and was cast down to the mortal world. Father loves mother. The lord of the underworld fell in love with the goddess. This possibility did not exist in his mind. As a generation of the lord of the underworld, the ruler of the underworld, in a sense, he and the king of the gods are impossible to be together, because this is something that the divine realm and the underworld will never allow. After having a relationship with the goddess, the lord of the underworld actually fell in love with her. It's just that he could not express this to anyone. So, he came up with the most straightforward and in line with the thinking of the underworld method. That is to completely destroy the divine realm, capture the goddess, and keep her with him forever. So there were repeated wars, repeated invasions, and the divine realm was invaded by the fiery underworld and suffered a series of defeats. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.